This is Film Center, your number one show for real entertainment industry news. No fluff, all facts. Now, here are your anchors, Derek Johnson II and Nicholas Killian.
Hey everyone, welcome to Film Center News. My name's Derek Johnson II.
I'm Nicholas Killian.
And what are we getting today, Nicholas?
Today, we are talking to a very special person. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Allison Sribnick. I'm a production manager at Titmouse Animation Studios.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
How was the drive? Was it a bit of a drive?
Oh my gosh. You guys are out here.
Hey, but at least we introduced you to the coffee,
We
though.
did introduce her. We introduced her some coffee before the show. I think it's pretty. I don't know. Do you like it?
Oh my God, I love it. Not worth the drive exactly because I wouldn't be able to make it without a French press, but thank you so much.
As you guys know, Film Center News is mobile. We're here today in Westlake.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Allison, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about where you're from?
Sure. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina.
Shout out to Columbia.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I went to Savannah College of Art and Design and graduated in 2012, majored in animation, and realized I didn't want to be an animator. I wanted to work in production.
What initially drew you to animation? Was there anything you saw when you were young that was like, oh, I need to be a part of this?
I'm about to date myself, but I was born in 1988, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out in 1988, and the rest is history.
That is such a classic. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. The combination of WB and Disney. Saw that when I was in diapers, before I could even talk. My parents couldn't turn the TV off. I was bound to work in animation.
That's awesome. There's so much technical aspects that went into that movie, the mixture of live action and animation, and on top of the fact that I think it's the only time you get to see Donald Duck and Daffy Duck together
On the same screen.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure.
No, you are absolutely correct. And if you want any history, thanks to Savannah College of Art and Design's History of Animation, turns out the reason why Roger Rabbit looks the way he does is because it's a combination of Mickey Mouse's design and a rabbit for Bugs Bunny. And when Bugs Bunny and Mickey show up on the screen, they have the same number of consonants and vowels in what they are saying, as well as the same amount of time in which they are on the screen. Same for Daffy and Donald Duck.
Really?
Wow, I didn't know that at all, actually.
Is there a reason for that?
Why do you think they did that? You think Disney and WB were going to actually go, oh no, Mickey should be the main character?
I didn't know if it was like a petty
I
thing.
knew it was a legal thing. I was like, it's probably legal. Illegal was probably. Hey,
of course.
I heard that they were going to try to make a sequel. I'm actually glad they didn't. I think it's good the way it is.
No, it's perfect because it's a combination of the old school Disney, black and white, Steamboat Willie kind of stuff that they're doing there. And they're playing all these animation jokes. For example, if you look at Dip, which is the thing that kills all of the cartoons.
Yes.
Well, that's Cell Cleaner.
It's what?
It's Cell Cleaner.
Oh, I didn't know that was
Really?
Cell Cleaner.
Exactly.
For
So-
those who are listening who might not know what that is, can you explain a little bit?
Before we had the computer, we did all of the animation on these cellophane-like sheets.
Right.
And so they would do the inking and the painting and everything on these, and that was how they would do the animation. But what's interesting is it's very hard to find some of these cells because cellophane was so expensive that they would just kept cleaning off these beautiful pieces of artwork that were the frames of animation. So it was,
Sad.
yeah.
That makes me so sad. There's probably a whole bunch of images out there that are really great that we'll never be able to see.
We'll never be able to see. So you graduated college in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take before you made your way out to Los Angeles?
When I graduated in 2012, SCAD had left me with the feeling of I'm the worst artist in the world, and why did I go out to art school? Which is usually what most students have.
That's how I felt when I went to film school. I was like, why am I here?
It's because after these art schools get your money, they then
Just
go,
drop you on your
thank
head.
you so much. It was wonderful. Contact us if you become a famous alumni, or maybe we'll contact you, or maybe no one will contact you at all, and that'll be the end of it. No offense to SCAD, this is just a universal thing across the board with almost every college. But the thing is, what SCAD offered me was the training that I needed, as well as a wonderful relationship with some amazing students. And there I met Zachary Rich, who turned out to become my business partner when, in 2013, when we created Skynamic Studios, made an IP called True Tale, made an animated Flash video with a bunch of our friends.
Okay, hold, pause. All right, we're speed running this. We are speed running this. Back up a little.
There's so much we have to unpack here. You're being too modest right now.
You're right, exactly. Okay, let's back up to where you say you met him at college.
I did.
So first of all, they're just going into business. You can't just go into business with just anybody. What about this person stuck out to you? His name's Ben, right?
Zach.
I said Ben. Where does Ben come from? Shout out to Zach. Zach, if you're listening, shout out to you. You're doing a great job, man. You've earned her respect.
To go into business with her.
Right.
I would say that honestly what happened was desperation. I had graduated. I come from a family of doctors and pharmacists and lawyers and that kind of thing. So I was that black sheep of the family.
Creative.
I was creative.
Oh
And
my
they're
gosh.
like, what side of the brain is that? We don't know how that operates.
When you had told your parents that you wanted to pursue this career path, what was their reaction?
Good one, Allison.
Yeah. Yep. Facts. I remember when I told my dad I wanted to go into entertainment, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, so that's like your hobby, but what do you want to do?
What are you going to do to pay the bills?"
Right.
Yeah, my cousin, who at the time was going off to medical school to become a neurosurgeon, and now he's a pediatric neurosurgeon in Ohio.
wow.
Yeah, this is what I have to deal with. He pulls me aside during 4th of July of my senior year in high school, or my junior year into high school, and he says, I have a friend who went out to Los Angeles because he wanted to be a director. Do you know what he does now, Allison? He's a pizza delivery man. Do you want that for your life?
What kind of pieces?
Might be some really great pizzas.
Right,
So I went pre-med. So my very first year of college, I was pre-med and went to a school that had no art. And after about a semester of doing that, I realized, God, I'm lonely and sad and depressed, and this is what it feels like to become a doctor? I don't think so.
They say nothing makes an artist want to create more when you deprive them of their paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what was the breaking point of, okay, I
I'm
have
done
to
with
do this?
I'm changing. I don't care.
I started taking botany, and I went, God, I really don't want to study plants. I don't mind drawing them, but I really don't want to do this. So I called Mom and Dad, and I said, please let me go to Savannah College of Art
Save
and
me from
Design.
these Punnett squares.
And they said, no, you can go do graphic design. We think we'll at least stomach that.
But we'll compromise.
Yes, we'll compromise. So you
On
go
your life, they're going to compromise.
Yes, so we'll go. You can go to the University of South Carolina, and you can major in graphic design. First day at USC, not here on the West Coast, on the East Coast, people.
East side?
Yeah. I got in the car because my mother would not let me drive, so she had to drive me to college. It was just lovely.
Really? Why did
Really
she-
embarrassing.
Why did she not allow you to drive to college?
I don't even know. Honestly, it's dangerous. There's no parking. You're going to hurt
There's
yourself.
no parking at the college?
Of course there's parking at the college. She just didn't want me to have the car.
I was like, whoa,
We're
really?
just-
But my mother picked me up from my first day of my sophomore year of college, and I got in the car and I said, I've decided. I'm going to Savannah College of Art and Design, and you're paying for it. And that's the end of story, okay? So I'll go for the rest of this year, but I'm taking art classes, and we're transferring. And she goes, oh, you've never been so angry before. Never, like, whoa. Okay, Allison. Get an art scholarship and an academic scholarship, and you can go. Bang, done. Went to Savannah in 2010.
That's so interesting to hear how, we have had a lot of people on this show, and the part of it that always impresses me is that breaking point. There's a lot of, there's never like a breaking point that you hear in other industries. No one's like, that's it. I'm becoming a doctor.
That's it. I just have to be an engineer.
You're right. That's done. I'm gonna
I
be
do
a
roads
biologist.
and bridges. That's just my lifeblood.
Dad, I want to be an engineer. Why won't you let me do it? No, son, you're gonna do the pizza company.
You're gonna work at the bar.
So it's so interesting to hear that part of people's lives, and so then, but you said that you were like, oh, I don't think I want to do animation, me personally. Now, when you said, now I do know that you, for a fact, you still want to be that part, right? You work at Titmouse. Obviously, you still like animation.
Of course.
So then what happened where you were like, I'm not going to be an animator?
Drawing the same thing over and over again is a special skill. You have to understand volume and shape and the physics of motion, the illusion of life within the 2D form. It's a lot.
Drawing on the twos, drawing on the,
All those frames, all those panels, everything that you're doing. And I just got tired and got carpal tunnel and drove myself into like craziness until one day I looked over at a senior's Cintiq and he had all of these spreadsheets open because he was the producer for 4 senior films.
Wow.
And I went, what is that? And it was like all of a sudden, the angels sang, and there it was.
The
production.
clouds parted.
It was it. Like, that was it. It was love at first spreadsheet.
Love at first spreadsheet.
I knew.
Was it?
It was Google Docs. I'd
Google
never
Docs.
seen.
Google Docs.
This is the beginning of Google Docs. So this is in 2010. That like.
I graduated high school in 2000.
But I quickly realized that what I loved was the story and the creativity that people brought to the table with each IP and each show and episode and short. I didn't want to be the artistic hand. I wanted to be the voice of reason that gave them comfort and support so that they could be the best they possibly could be. And that was it. I knew from then on. So I tanked my classes and only worked in producing as many senior and graduate films as I possibly could.
How many did you end up doing?
About around 5 or so, 6 if I count my own.
That's still a lot of projects.
But I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything. And every single one of them was different and brought different challenges. So when I graduated in 2012 and my parents said, you can't go out to Los Angeles until you have a job, desperation kicked in, and I found out that my friend Zachary Rich at the time was creating his own online studio. And I went, yo, dude, hey, remember me? We took that one Digicel class together where we learned Flash. Wasn't that fun? Please let me in.
Yeah.
And from there, I kicked out every single person that he had that was production and took over.
Wow.
And became his business partner.
That's awesome.
What was the conversation like with your parents whenever you were an animator and then you were like, actually, I don't want to be an animator. I now want to be a producer.
So many years later, after I'd moved out to Los Angeles and become a production manager, my parents told me a very depressing thing that I hope they never hear this radio for. We never thought you were going to make it. We just knew we were throwing money away to let you have a dream for a minute, and then you'd come back to reality.
Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty heavy. That is pretty. It's fact that they be like, we're just.
And this is
burning.
your parents.
These are your parents.
Yes.
You know, was there any hints that they thought that previously? Obviously, they wanted you to do something else, but were they ever like,
No, I was
what
simple.
are you doing out there?
No, I was simple and stupid and believed that Mommy and Daddy would never, ever think poorly of me. And no, that was 100% wrong.
It's a flex now. It's a good flex now.
Yeah. So now looking back on it, now I talk at panels and this and everything, and I'm mentoring people to get into the industry. I look back on that and I go, this is something I can actually use to tell people it's okay if your parents don't support your idea. Yeah. And even like at a panel that I did a number of years ago, I said, your children are not going into this field to just be artists. They are going into this field to find their people. Mm-hmm. You are not their people. You're not their person. They want to find a community that loves animation and video games and anime and comics and all of these things. Being in South Carolina, I'd go in to see a Disney movie. They think I was a pedophile because it's, she's too old. What is she doing in here? There's no child with her. Is she a mother? What is this?
Where's the kid who's supposed to be accompanying her to the movies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So me and Nicholas are both from the South. He's from Louisiana, and I'm from Tennessee. And in Tennessee,
that's definitely the case. It's
it's gonna say,
what are you, some kind of weirdo or something?
Like animation, and then you know what? The same people who will say that, you'll be like, oh, I liked Avatar: Last Airbender or some animated show. And they'll be like, oh, I love that show. Oh, but okay.
But I'm the weirdo.
But I'm the weirdo because I'll publicly say I like it. I feel like a lot more people like animation than they like to let on.
At the time, I think that it was getting ready to reach that point of where anime and things were going to start to come over to the country of South Carolina and its little country vision, like little setting. But at the time, it was not accepted. And when I would explain what I did in animation, or even today when I go home and people are like, oh, what do you do, Allison? I said, oh, I'm a production manager. And they go, and what, so you draw the cartoons? I was like, no, I manage the team that creates the content. And they're like, oh, I said, logistics. Does that click?
They give me
you
that glassy
do.
look like, oh, I'm going to say yes, but I
Okay,
don't
so
actually
you're
know.
the supply-demand chain thing. Okay, all right.
You go out in Hollywood and make those talkies. We haven't even gotten color yet back here.
So, as recently, Mickey Mouse went into the Steamboat Willie version, to be clear.
Went into public domain.
Yes.
Yes.
And first of all, we never thought that Disney would stop lobbying Congress to extend.
It's not from lack of trying.
Right, that's true. And there's already been a whole bunch of movies that are about to come out of horror versions.
I saw.
There's like a whole bunch of I would say cash grabby items media wise, because obviously it's Mickey Mouse, right? Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. How do you as a production manager view this possibility for some things that you work on? Because eventually everything will enter the public domain.
To be completely honest, I think the government is full of crap. As a creator, if my project ever got put up for like auction, basically, why don't you just take somebody's child and put them up for sale? That's all you're doing. To a creator, our IPs, our projects, our characters, they're not just a vision on the screen. They're our life. They're something that we gave birth to.
You put blood, sweat, tears, so many hours into it.
I can't agree. I know that Mickey Mouse should have never become something like that. If Walt Disney was here, no, absolutely not. And that's how we have to think about it. I hate to go into this explanation, but let's take the Declaration of Independence. Who's going to go and buy that right out of DC? Is that up for sale? No. Why is it that something that was worked on, beloved like that with our founding fathers, with Disney's Mickey Mouse and all of the characters, that has the ability to be put up for sale?
That's so interesting, because Disney's argument is that, one of the current arguments is that it's the oldest version, the old version of Mickey Mouse, which is not technically the newer Mickey Mouse or any of the newer versions besides that first one that are still under that copyright. And there's a lot of fear. We have spoken with some people who work at Disney. There's a lot of fear of the people associating those as an actual Disney products when they're not actually Disney products. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, protecting the IP is important, but there's not really a solution to that right now, is there?
I just think that you have to look at the overall IP in general. Mickey Mouse is the definition of Disney. Is it appropriate to put the actual president of Disney up for sale? No.
It's so weird. It makes me think of things like the Michelin Man's been around for like how long? But you don't ever see any Michelin Man commercials. You can't do that, right? Because he's trademarked.
Right.
And yet Mickey Mouse, it's like, once again, it's the Steamboat Willie version.
Yeah.
But yet it's still the same. You know?
Any version of Mickey Mouse is a Mickey Mouse. Like the Project True Tale that I've been working on for come March 11 years, those characters have been redesigned and edited and updated over and over again. If somebody took the very initial drawings that we did, our Steamboat Willie style kind of thing, and went, hey, I'm going to buy that.
And own it.
And own it.
And copyrighted.
I'd be horrified. I'm like, how dare you? How do you have any right to it? I don't understand it. I don't know why this is even a conversation, to be completely honest. It's just government not respecting the lifeblood of a creator.
Speaking of not respecting IPs, Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to be on Netflix pretty soon. What's interesting about the team is that they have been I think the world's been very adamant about the M. Night Shyamalan live
Yeah,
action.
oh, how horrible it was.
How long will it take me to lift this rock? Oh!
It's a secret that people don't like it. But it's interesting to see people's interpretation of different animation style, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Are you, as someone who works in animation, are you excited about it?
No,
Or
I think it's a
no?
terrible idea.
Because I think after they also did One Piece as well. There's been what, 1.5 billion different attempts to redo animation in a live action form. Why do you think that people want to make that medium?
Let's first ask the question of this, which if you ever are pitching a project to development, they will ask you, why did you pick animation as your medium to tell your story? The reason they picked animation to tell their story, or honestly, anyone does, is that the human face cannot emote like that.
It's true.
Animation has big eyes, big expressions, zany, wacky, slapstick humor that if I do, I will kill you. I do not think that it is a good idea to take an animated property and turn it into a live action property. It doesn't translate because that was not the initial take on it. They chose animation because that medium would lend itself best to the storytelling that they needed, which is why most of the time when you watch sorry, Disney, but you watch any of, say, The Lion King that they did. No, the live action version. It is not going to work.
Horrible.
Those eyes and that face and everything does not emote like Simba and Nala and Zazu and all of them.
Though, it's also specifically Favreau's fault. Because
Yeah.
Favreau said, in how many different interviews, he was like, oh, in the live action version, we want to make it look like a documentary. And lions, though, they don't make faces like they do in animation. So we make
Then go watch Big Cat Diaries if you want an animal documentary.
Not only that, lions do have emotions. I don't know why they have all these still faces in the movie. Animals do have feelings. I don't think he's ever seen real animals, possibly. Maybe that was the issue. He's never...
I'm sure they were brought in just like how Jeffrey Katzenberg brought in lions for the artist when they needed to draw out Simba and all of them. But I do feel very strongly that animation is a medium that is used specifically because of the ability that the human face cannot emote like that. So if you're going to do a live action, you better have the biggest, over dramatic, crazy acting, or you're going to put everybody to sleep because they're going to be like, wait, that's not working.
I Just Can't Wait to Be King is such a favorite sequence of mine. And a lot of animators love that sequence. A lot of people love The Lion King in general. If someone's, I don't like The Lion King, I'm like, oh, so you're not human. That's cool. You're a sociopath.
You're not a
or
person.
psychopath. That's insane. I wish you didn't say that to me.
I actually don't want to be around you right now.
Right. And then obviously they tried to. It didn't even look like they really retried to make it. With this upcoming Avatar: Last Airbender live action, how do you suppose what do you think is going to fall under the wayside, outside of just the facial expressions?
One of the big things will be that you will see a lot of illusion stuff where you're going to have a lot of green screen, you're going to have a lot of visual effects. They think that if they polish it up with all of the visual effects and everything, that will sell it. That will push it to where it needs to go. But honestly, I don't trust them on their casting. I don't trust them on being able to give us those 2D effects that honestly left us spellbound while we were watching them as kids. The other big issue is this IP is done. I watched it religiously back when I was in high school. I would even put the kids to sleep early when I was babysitting so that I could watch it at the house.
Such an amazing series.
It works phenomenally as animation, but I'm 35 now. What 12-year-old has any clue about this show? They don't. So who's gonna watch this IP? And if I was a parent, which I'm not, would I want my child who is 7 or 8 years old watching this show? No,
You're just
probably.
gonna show them the animation from before.
No, I would
if you
rather them watch the animation than watch actual people beating themselves up with magical effects.
Yeah, you're going to show them the original comparative to just showing them the newer version.
Yeah, because
I say, oh, I think this is cool. I had a similar experience with one of my younger nephews when he likes he was like, oh, I like Teen Titans Go. And I was like, what did you say to me?
Oh,
and he was yeah. And I was like, all right, first of all, I'm going to have to talk with my aunt, your mother, my sister, your mother. Then we're just going to go home. And I actually showed him like all the regular Teen Titan from when it was quality.
When Teen Titans was it.
They had the Japanese intro. They also had the English intro. And then after I showed him, after we like binged it over, I think, 3 or 4 days, and he was like, why does Teen Titans Go exist? I was like, thank you.
That's what everybody's been trying to find out.
Because it's cheaper to make.
That's true.
That's all it is. It's cheaper to make.
Oh, that was the reason? It was because it was cheaper to make?
Those little chibi puppet things are much easier to animate and work with than a 22-minute, big, crazy, dynamic Avatar: The Last Airbender fighting.
Yeah.
These are slapstick, easy stories for someone to digest in little 11-minute chunks. That's it. That's not saying that the writing is bad or anything like that. It's just they know what their audience wants, and they are giving it to them. Back then, when Teen Titans came out, it was mixed up with Johnny Quest and Scooby-Doo and all of these things that had a darker undertone. That
so
darker
they felt the need to compete?
That darker undertone doesn't exactly work in today's animation with SMP.
What do you think it's actually? Because a lot of people who watch those older shows can still really enjoy it. There's this sense where people used to make things not for kids specifically, but for general audiences, compared to just specifically kids. And I heard this. What was it? At LA Comic Con where someone was saying this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it should be just a change of the times. But I think that still in today's age, I think we don't give the kids enough respect mentally. I think they can handle stuff like that.
I think that's 100% accurate. The best way of putting it is S&P in the 90s was all about irreverency. Be wild, be irreverent, create wacky, zany stories. How in the world did Hey Arnold get away with Helga's mother having a Bloody Mary in the morning every time you saw her? Or Ed and Eddie are literally slumlords teaching the children how to steal money from everyone in the neighborhood so that you can get candy and rot your teeth out. It was the age of irreverency.
Push the envelope.
Push the envelope, which is why
Cow
I
and
believe.
chicken.
Oh, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Cow and chicken, cat,
Courage,
dog.
Yeah, cat dog, courage the cowardly dog, all of them. They all had the message of we are wacky, we are zany, we are irreverent, and who cares if we really have plot devices in here or not? We're just gonna let the joke is king, let's roll with it kind of thing. S&P was a lot more lax. Take Animaniacs. They literally joke about this, or Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons jokes about this. It's like, we crack up all our sensors. That's S&P they're talking about in that opening line. So in the 90s, they just wanted to make content. Cheap, fast, quick content. And that's all it was. Today, it's not that way anymore.
Do you feel it's more like corporate now?
It's on brand. Everything is about brand now. Back then, I couldn't tell the difference between the cartoons that came on Nickelodeon and the cartoons that came on Cartoon Network.
That is true.
And I knew Disney was more of a family, softer focus. But today, Nickelodeon has a specific brand. Cartoon Network and WB have a specific brand. Disney has a specific brand. Amazon has a specific brand. Even Netflix, when they pick their projects, they're being fairly specific. Everybody's now so scared of having a flop that they've actually branded themselves.
Why do you think that each company, besides being scared that it's going to be a flop, why do you think that each Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, why do you think they've all branded themselves so individualistically? What do you think the reason for that is?
My opinion would be that they're scared. S&P has become a lot more strict. It's crazy how strict they are. Like, we couldn't have a character pull a plug out of the wall because that was imitatable behavior. Instead, we had to have them turn the switch off on the power strip.
Isn't that also imitatable?
It is, but that's a lot safer than that. They couldn't start fires. But you could snap your finger and magically have fire in your hand. Avatar had a huge problem with the fire bending aspect because they're like, oh no, kids will light matches and run around with like little torches and whatever. So I think what has happened is we've reached a point of SMP wants to protect children and protect companies from getting sued. It's very similar to what's happening in the medical field, where doctors aren't really even allowed to touch you because they're afraid you're going to sue them.
Yeah,
because the hospital is not going to back the doctor.
Exactly.
It's going to back itself from getting sued.
Precisely.
You know what's crazy? Especially with we don't want to talk too much the medical field, but WMD has not destroyed, but I said really made a lot of medical professionals upset because they have a whole bunch of people come in. Oh yeah, I need this medicine because this website told me that, and they'll say I'm a doctor, so probably check your medical history first. Nope. If you don't give it to me, I'm going to give you a terrible review, and it'll tank your business, and you can't say anything about it because of HIPAA. But Allison, it's been really great having you on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Is there anywhere where people can follow you or look up anything that you might have coming out in the future?
Honestly, probably the best thing to do is just Google True Tale. It's true, as in like true or false, and tail, as in an animal tail, not T-A-L, but T-A-I-L. And it's about a young kitten named Caleb who's 12 years old, and along with all of his friends, they're going off to be heroes at a school called True Tale Academy, where they train the next generation of heroes. And it's set in a medieval fantasy world. If you like D&D, you're going to love it, and we hope you guys check it out.
Cool, excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Guys, this has been Film Center News. I'm Derek Johnson II.
I'm Nicholas Killian.
And we're here with
Allison Sribnick.
And we'll see you next time.
See y'all.
This has been Film Center on Comic-Con Radio. Check out our previous episodes at ComicConRadio.com. You can follow the show at Film Center News on all major social media platforms. Tune in next Wednesday for a fresh update. Until next time, this has been Film Center.
Hey, do you like anime and manga? Nick and I are big fans of the genre.
Yeah, we recently discovered a manga named Tamashi. It's written and created by Ryan McCarthy, and it recently just came out with its 10th volume.
Now, Tamashi is an isekai about a girl who gets transported to another world called the Ancient Lands. She gains mysterious powers and must fight demons and monsters to find her way home.
Check it out on Amazon, Blurb, and get a physical copy at RyanMcCarthyProductions.com.